Madam Speaker, I rise today in opposition to this motion. I rise today as a new member who ran for office on cleaning up our system. And admittedly, I rise today as someone who has voted for Republican MTRs in the past. In fact, I was eager to hear how my colleagues and friends across the aisle would propose a solution today for how they're going to finally drain the swamp. I was eager to hear for how they would protect and enshrine the rights and freedoms and liberties that we all are endowed in the Constitution. But what they have given us today does nothing to drain the swamp, nothing to uphold our freedoms. Only in Washington would we see a group of people actively trying to sabotage anti-corruption measures. This is a political stunt meant to divide us, meant to sow hatred, and it's a game, nothing less, nothing less. This right here is why the American people hate politics, and honestly, if this is your strategy to win future elections, we wish you Godspeed, because it will never work. It will never work. Because the question before us today, and the thing that this joke of an MTR that is seeking to distract us from, is whose side are you on? Let's show the American people that this is the people's house, not the house of corporate interests and lobbyists and dark money. And with that, again, I stand in opposition to this motion, and I yield the remainder of my time.
Gentleman yields back.
That was freshman Democrat Max Rose in response to a Republican motion to recommit, or MTR, which is a procedural tool that allows the minority party to have the final word in changing a bill. While in theory it's there to give the minority party a say in the passage of a bill to basically make it a bit more palatable, that's not what's happening here, as Republicans have been making additions, sometimes with only minutes to go before voting, that actually make it completely unpalatable to Democrats, to sabotage it. In this case, Republicans added language to HR1, a massive voting rights bill, saying allowing illegal immigrants the right to vote devalues the franchise and diminishes the voting power of United States citizens. The verbiage was clearly political and meant solely to sow division. That's all. Republicans have been doing everything they can to block the passage of HR1, which is arguably the most important and necessary bill put forward by Democrats. The legislation includes sweeping and sorely needed changes to the electoral process to protect our most fundamental right as Americans, the right to vote. Those changes include a constitutional amendment to end Citizens United, which allows corporations flush with cash to donate to, basically to buy influence with, a political campaign. Disclose dark money donors to political campaigns. Pass the Honest Ads Act, which compels tech companies to disclose the source of the money for political ads on their platforms. Requiring candidates for president and vice president to disclose 10 years of tax returns, and that retroactively includes those currently serving. Prohibiting purging voters from the rolls, an issue we saw especially this year in midterms. Forcing states to adopt independent redistricting commissions to eliminate partisan and racist gerrymanders. Automatic voter registration, where people have to opt out instead of jumping through hoops to opt in. Making Election Day a federal holiday, requiring poll workers give the public a week's notice of any polling location changes, and making colleges a way to register to vote in addition to the DMV. Recruiting more poll workers, and finally, beefing up election security. Now, that wasn't even everything, but clearly this legislation seems like a common sense fix to a slew of glaringly obvious problems. But Republicans have attacked the measure, which, again, ensures that Americans can exercise their most fundamental right. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell spoke out against the bill on the Senate floor.
HR1, also known as the Democratic Politician Protection Act. Speaker Pelosi and her colleagues are advertising it as a package of urgent measures to save American democracy. What it really seems to be is a package of urgent measures to rewrite the rules of American politics for the exclusive benefit of the Democratic Party.
McConnell claims that this is for the exclusive benefit of the Democratic Party, but if that's the case, it's only because Democrats are so blatantly excluded from the process. Imagine if this was a soccer game and the Republicans could score in a goal twice the size, and then Democrats propose that both goals become the same size. Then yeah, that proposal would pretty much exclusively benefit the Democrats by making the whole process fair.
Yesterday, I gave a brief tour through several of the most bizarre components of their proposal. Today, I'd like to focus on just one of the legislation's major victims, the American taxpayer.
Right, the victim, the U.S. taxpayer. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that McConnell's ability to sanctimoniously grandstand using fiscal responsibility shriveled up and died the day that he ushered a $1.5 trillion tax cut for the super rich through Congress. You know, the one that's currently pushing the U.S. deficit to a record $1 trillion?
But they aren't stopping there, Mr. President. Democrats also want taxpayers on the hook for generous new benefits for federal bureaucrats and government employees. Their bill would make Election Day a new paid holiday for government workers and created an additional brand new paid leave benefit for up to 6 days for any federal bureaucrat who decides they'd like to hang out at the polls during any election.
Right, hanging out at the polls, or, you know, how our founding fathers might refer to it, protecting our most central democratic right in the United States of America, the essence of this country, the right to vote. But sure, hanging out works too.
A power grab that's smelling more and more like exactly what it is.
HR1 is clearly, objectively, a crucial bill at a time when Americans have so little faith in our corrupt election systems. And with 82% of Americans supporting a bill of reforms like this one to end corruption, it's not going to be a good look for Republicans to vote against this measure as we head into 2020. In fact, it's going to look like Republicans are engaged in nothing more than
a power grab that's smelling more and more like exactly what it is.